Hello.
Hey,
You did you did
I mentioned it. I don't know if it's my age or your guys. I don't know. He said he's gonna call in, or if it's not possible.
he can't call in? No. See what should have done? You should have pulled him in first.
He's gonna call him first, and then called.
Stand
Then
by.
called you guys.
Stand by.
That's what I don't do.
Stand by. It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, Where I Am Now. And if you'd like to see us live at WGPL 1350 Studio, all you have to do is go to Edward Everett's Facebook page or Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton's Facebook page. And guess what? You can see us live right here in WGPL 1350 Studio. And if you want to hear us all over the world, all you have to do is go to www.christianbroadcastingcompany.com or go to WGPL 1350 AM or WPCE 1400 AM. And guess what? You can hear us all over the world. And now I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. E. What a beautiful, beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Could you, would you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors, our WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
And WPCE 1400, good morning to you.
Facebook Live is on and popping. Good morning, Jewel Corporal. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
That's right. So share, share, like, subscribe. You do what you do.
Absolutely. Make sure you all go into those sites and check and follow and comment. We'll shout you out later in the show.
That's what it's all about, shouting you out and let everybody know you are so faithful to us.
Absolutely. So it's April, it's the spring. It's a beautiful day here in the Hampton Roads area.
That's right. It's a beautiful day.
All right, then, Mr. E, we have a special guest today. Today is our Wednesday, What's Under the Hat? Issues concerning men.
Yeah.
And we want you all to be patient with us a little bit. We're trying to get all of our guests on, and we're going to introduce one of our guests here, Mr. E.
That's right.
And that is the organization Box Pop. And the founder is Marvin Scott. Good morning, Marvin.
Good morning. Good morning. Pleasure to hear you guys and be on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm not sure if we can get Sean to be merged in at this time, but we're going to ask you about yourself, and then we're going to pause a minute and see if we can make that happen. First of all, Marvin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, great. My name is Marvin Scott. A lot of people know me by my last name of Scott. That's kind of a holdover from the military. I currently live in Norfolk, Virginia, and my organization is the Box Pop Organization, which is an organization designed to help foster good relationships between fathers and their children. It doesn't matter if they're a single father, if they're in a relationship with the mom that hasn't had any issues, if they're married, unmarried. The goal is always to foster great relationships between fathers and their children. I'm 41 years old. I've been in Virginia since 2008, but I'm a Chicago native, born and raised. And that's pretty much me in a wrap. I have two daughters, ages 11 and 9. And that's pretty much it.
Wow. Well, tell us about Box Pop. What made you start the organization? Who do you serve? I know you mentioned men. Tell us more about
Yes,
the organization
yes.
and its mission.
Okay, so I started the organization in 2021, but it goes back a few years prior to that. Unfortunately, it kind of started from some bad deeds that was going on in my life at the time where I was dealing with divorce and separation from my children. And that kind of took me into a dark place, but I used that to inspire me to say, okay, how can I fix that situation? How can I fix it for myself and not only myself, but other men who may be going through what I'm going through? You know, there's lots of men out there who not always have had the best of conditions, but they do strive to do the best of things. So the mission of our organization is to help them do that, help them understand with some sense of clarity what it is that they desire for themselves as men, because there's no rites of passage, you know,
Yes.
generally speaking for the U.S. You know, a lot of questions as to what should we be doing as men? Are we doing the right thing? Are we on the right path? Are we on the wrong path? And can we actually lend a helping hand to someone else, which can be very difficult to do if you're uncertain of where you are yourself. And somebody comes to you with a need and you want to help them, but if you don't have the right sort of playbook, how
Yes.
can you do that? So our mission is to help others, help others,
Oh,
help
wow.
men, help other men.
You know, that is absolutely marvelous because we know that there are organizations and all kind of things for our women. You know, women have been favored, of course, in the courts when it comes to child support and custody. And so it is a breath of fresh air to see where it can be an equal balance, wherein a man will have a chance to be that father and to get support if he needs it, and not only that, to have support from organizations and the community. It is absolutely fabulous.
Yes,
I want to say
ma'am.
congratulations.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
We're going to talk to other guests in a little bit, but I want to I want to kind of like look a little closer at your journey. Now, your journey
Mhm.
is kind of interesting. You know, you said that there are some things that you've experienced and have gone through, which was tell us about that and how it either made a difference in your life or it made an impact in your life or it caused trauma in your life.
That's a really good question. So I was one of those kids who their only, I don't say only, but their aspiration for some strange reason was to have kids themselves. You know, that was my dream growing up, to be a father and to be respected in my community. That might be something that came from being a PK and growing up that way.
Oh, uh-huh.
But as a child, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to grow up and have my own family and have children and be that pillar in the community that is respected and to pass that on to the next generation. Don't ask me how a kid got that in his head,
Yes.
but that's how that was. I was actually married twice, and the first marriage, I didn't have any children, and we thought that for whatever reason, that just wasn't going to happen for us. You know, neither one of us got checked to see maybe what the issues were. We just kind of lived life, and if it happened, it happened, and for us, it did not happen. Things did not work out, and we were divorced. And as I went into life after that, and eventually another relationship and got married, it just so happened that I did have a child, and it was a beautiful thing. and very, very exciting thing for me to now become a father. I was, I believe, 31, unless I'm mistaken, when that happened, and it was a very proud moment for me. So I went from a child wanting to have children to now a man of the age of 31 having his first child, and that's a pretty big gap. You know, a lot of men are having children much younger than that.
Yes.
You know, so soon after that, maybe about 20 months after that, I had my second child, and extremely excited about this. And all I wanted, as I said, was to be a father and to give whatever examples to them that I could. Unfortunately, that relationship did not necessarily work out, but that doesn't mean I didn't want the relationship with my children. And a lot of times, fathers think, I don't want to call it selfish, right? But they want the right to be a father to their children, but there's a larger impact to that. Those children have the right to a responsible father.
Oh, wow. What a great point.
You know, that's a lot. Thank you. That is so huge. That is much larger than, oh, I want to be a father. No, that child that you brought into this world deserves a responsible, good, respectable father. And so that was extremely painful to me to see those children who deserve that not receive that. So I fought for many years in the system to try to give them that right and afford them that right. I went through maybe about 30 some $1,000 in about 6 years or so trying to do that. And I think I might have amassed an additional 2 weeks in the summertime with it.
Wow.
Very tragic situation with that. I went through several attorneys. Some of them scammed me. Some of them were actually decent attorneys. One of my attorneys was a fantastic attorney. I want to give her props. She was a fantastic attorney. But you know what? She also was $500 an hour.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
Yes.
That's paid. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. $500 an hour.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know what? I couldn't afford that. So eventually, she wasn't able to help me with my case, which is one of the reasons why I went through so much trauma and turmoil with those things. And you know, when fathers are going through those things, at the time I was going through it, I had a 5-bedroom house, right? I had a 5-bedroom house. I had a nice vehicle. And I cannot count how many times I've gone into my household, saw my children's toys after a hard day's work, and broke down because I knew I could not see my children.
Wow.
You know, and what the thoughts that go through your head is if you're on the right path, right, you're always thinking of your children. And so some of the thoughts that would go through my head was, you know what, if my child failed today and hurt themselves and cried out for their father, I could not be there and I wouldn't even know that they were crying out.
Amazing.
That was very traumatizing.
You know, I want to I'm going to talk to Mr. E just for a second, but before we do that, and we're going to try to pull in Sean or either have him call up, we're going to play a little tag. You know, the courts have not been favorable at all. I mean, especially in the past, and we're going to talk about that too. But, you know, along with what you went through and along with the cost of lawyers and things, the courts, have they done anything to make it to balance this thing between parents? And I want you to hold on to that question, but because what we're going to do, we're going to have you hang up. We'll have Sean to call up and we'll just ask him a few questions and then you're going to call back. And in the meantime, Mr. E will be speaking as they do that. So, all right. So we're going to tell, if you could ask Sean to please give us a call at 624-757-624-9475. And in the meantime, Mr. E, you know, I want to hear from you a little bit because this is something that you can relate to. And I just want to hear how you feel about where things are and what you have gone through in the past.
Well, I was waiting for Mr. Marvin Scott to get into the nuts and bolts of the conversation because we have not really skimmed the surface about what Box Pop was. And, I'm waiting for him to just tell what he had to endure before I even give my, because I know dealing with the system is not a great thing to deal with. Dealing with locating your children, dealing with child support is not one of the greatest things in the world that one could ever go through.
Yes, and we want to say good morning to Sean. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well.
We're doing good, Sean. I'm sorry that we couldn't merge the conversation, but we just want to hear from you and your, how you connect with Box Pop and our guest Marvin.
Yes, Box Pop was started and formed by a good friend of mine, Marvin Scott. And he brought the idea to me because it was something near dear to his heart. And it was something that he was going through in his personal life. And he decided to make it an organization to be able to help other young men like yourself out. And when he brought it to me, I was like, hey, I'm on board because it was something that I felt that I needed at one time.
Yes.
And once you go through things, sometimes God puts you through things to help others down the line.
Absolutely. Now that is true. Say that again.
Some things that some of your trials and tribulations that you go through, they're not just for yourself. They're for you to use the information that you gain to help others.
That is amazing.
Now, Sean, tell us about what you had to experience and the reason why you chose to bond with Box Pop to help other men. What was you experiencing in life that causes that?
Yes, in my younger life, I have experienced financial stress. I felt when it came to providing for my children. I have 4 sons and I love them dearly. I experienced financial stress and it was just a one-way street. And I felt like I was getting controlled when it came to dealing with these systems of government when it comes to child support.
Okay.
Yes.
So you felt it was a one-way street when it was dealing with child support. Why you say it was a one-way street?
Well, typically, I'm gonna have to use kids' gloves after is.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, I'm trying to put this in my best words. The children are given to one particular parent.
That's right. That's right.
I.e., mother, and the father. He just has to deal with it. Here's your portion of taking care of this child, and they don't. I don't think they really think about that both parents have to have shelter, food, transportation, and still have to be able to go to work. It should be able to work out for everyone. And a lot of times you have custody issues in that. And the custody is what I have learned over the years is what determines the financial burden.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Does it really make sense, Sean, that when Minister Sean, that when you and your fiance or wife, y'all separated, does it? And then she decided that she had all the children, or did you allow the court system to decide? And I know you're a great father for your children, and she's a great mother for her child. But did you think that was off balance for them to say, okay, fine, we give it to the lady?
It was very off balance, Minister. She of course wanted the children because she already knew that would be some type of financial I don't know how to put it.
Well,
we get it. We understand. We get it. We know where you're
that'll
going
be
from.
a tool for her to rise above.
But I wanted to, and I asked Marvin this question: where did the courts fall in this? A lot of times in the past, men weren't favored. A woman, just because she has conceived and brought forth a child, she was already, hey, it was already, they favored her. How has things changed a bit in the courts when it comes to child custody and how things are done now?
They have they haven't at all.
Oh, wow.
And I want to really address this last question.
Mm-hmm.
The judge asked me, why should I have 50% custody of my 4 Black African American young boys?
Wow.
And I was surprised and I was distraught, but I spoke from my heart. And at the particular time, there was another African American male asking me this question, and I just told him. And he looked at me and he said, "You work too much, and I'm gonna just give children to her, and I'll give you every other weekend." And that's so you've already taken the children away from me. Not even thinking about the financial burden. I'm just thinking about I would like to still impress my morals and values on my children as well.
Absolutely. Sean, we're going to pull Marvin back in, but we have a part 2 and we may have a part 3. I hope you can be on. We can get the phones together and merge and really, really talk and discuss. I'm going to have you to hang up. We're going to have Marvin to call back. And we're going to kind of like just sum up what we've talked about. And then on our next week, we're going to again talk about this. And we're going to go in a little bit more details of what men go through, what's under the hat, and how they feel about custody and child support. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Mr. E, wow, it is so much that we want to cover. We will probably, I know we're going to have a part 2, and we will probably have to have a part 3 to address some of these parts about, their children and how play out for a man.
When they look at it, they said that, like the brothers are saying, it's a one-sided thing. So what they have to do in order for it to be two-sided, what has to happen is they have to really come out and let be men and bring forth that energy of what they're experiencing. When we're dealing with the child support enforcement, when we're dealing with the mamas and the daddies, when we're dealing with them, first of all, the system is a one-sided system anyway. For day 1, day 2, the system is one-sided. And since the system is one-sided, it hurts a lot of men when it comes to it. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We are now talking again to
Marvin Scott and from Box Pop, the founder of Box Pop, and we're going to say a good morning to you again, sir. And
we want you. I hope you've thought about that question. Tell us how you feel about the question about the courts and how things have been unbalanced for a long time.
It definitely truly has been what some would consider unbalanced for a long time. But I think the courts are doing exactly what they plan to do. So on their end, they don't believe that they're unbalanced, and since they don't believe that they are unbalanced, it's up to us who understand that it is unbalanced to try to force that change. I'll give you 2 things that I can use as an example real quick. One would be, I had my children once on my birthday. I had picked them up from their mom, and I was taking them to go eat for my, hour long that I was going to have them or whatever for my birthday. And me and my kids, when I have them in the car, sometime we'll do I Spy game. We'll play that game, and we'll play a few different games. My daughter was behind me. They were very young, and she said, Daddy, I wish you lived with us so you could be like a real daddy.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Wow.
devastating,
Woo.
devastating. On my birthday,
Oh,
my daughter
wow.
said that to me, just as a child, not understanding what she was saying, but
Yes.
understood the presence of her father was not there.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
The second thing that I want to bring up, which speaks directly to the courts, is how when I was there and I had been fighting for my kids, I've been fighting to see them, and the GAL that was on that case, nothing against all GALs, but the GAL specifically on that case at that time, and the attorneys that I was dealing with, they pulled me into an office and we were discussing what we're going to do with these agreements. This was 3 weeks before Christmas, and they were talking about putting me in jail for back child support.
Yeah.
Which I had been fighting at the time because I was paying more in child support than my mortgage.
Yeah.
Right. And what really shocked me, they said, look, we'll get rid of all the back child support, and we'll set it to, which at that time I was trying to get it set to 600. That's what I could afford at the time. I don't mind saying that number. And we'll get rid of all that. We'll start it at 0. We'll change it to what you're asking for if you stop bringing us to court and fighting over these kids.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. So you're going to extort me now.
Yes, yes.
You know? And I know that I wasn't going to stop fighting for my kids. My birthday was in November, and that situation happened. Now we're talking about 3 weeks away from Christmas. You're trying to put me in jail for money that I don't have and cannot afford at the time. Sure, fine. All right, I'll sign this strategically. I'll get rid of the arrears, but I'm never going to stop fighting for my kids.
Yeah.
So that's the court system right there. A system that would allow that type of statement, as well as like Sean was talking about the different judges and the judge, as I was explaining to him all of my finances, they knew exactly how much I made. They knew exactly how much was in my bank account. They had all of my tax records. And I'm explaining to the judge, you see that I cannot afford this. And the judge said, pretty much verbatim, because I'll never forget this, he said, what do you expect your kids to live off of? Love and ice cream?
Oh, my.
Yeah, I almost threw up. I just sat back in my seat and said, I have nothing further to say.
Oh, wow. That is just amazing. It's really, to me, to hear, because I've heard the stories from the past and have observed a lot of them coming up in my time of, just watching the courts and things. But to hear it in real time, 2022, it to me makes me feel sick because it seems like nothing has changed.
Correct. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing with Box Pops, and we're having the events like what we're having with a panel of attorneys who are willing to answer some possibly tough questions, and also some questions, and give some answers to some questions that may even be general. And when the guys come to these events, they won't have to pay what may often be a $250 consultation fee or $450 consultation fee for what basically feels like an hour-long commercial for the law firm, when these guys are really just wanting to get answers to a few questions and see where they can get help. Yes. So when guys are aware of our organization and come to our organization and come to things like what we're going to have on April 23rd with these panel of attorneys, they can get simple questions that they have answered.
Absolutely. Tell us, Marvin, where they can get the information from. And of course, we're going to be bringing you back part 2 on next week. But let our listeners and viewers know where they can contact you at.
Awesome. They can go to our website, bboxpops.com. That's www.bboxpops.com. You can also go on our Facebook page, which is bboxpops or Box Pops. You can check out our information there. We can also be found on Instagram under the same name, Box Pops. And we will be circulating information amongst all of those platforms, and they can log on. We also have Eventbrite, which you can go on the website and get that information about on the 23rd and be able to come out and speak to these attorneys face to face.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We're going to see you all on next week. You be blessed, but you all come over here live to either Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, and we'll talk a little bit more about this subject. Be blessed. We'll see you back here on Fun Friday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm co-host Ed Everett. And for more information, you can give us a call at 757-714-7861. Our special guest has been none other than Mr. Marvin Scott and Mr. Sean Lamont from Box Pop, Child Support and Custody Representatives. And for more information, give us a call. Thank you so much. 757-714-7861, and have a wonderful day.
So we want to say good morning to you all, our viewers. We're here with our Twitter feed, our LinkedIn, our Facebook, and YouTube. And it's been a wonderful, pleasant morning. We're talking about a serious topic. This is our Wednesday, What's Under the Hat, Issues Concerning Men. Talking about custody and child support.
That's right.
Men's issues. Because, to look at it, Mr. E, when we think about child support, we're always thinking on one, and that's women and their children. But there's a heart and soul under the hat of a man who deals with the same issues, and we're here to talk about it.
Miss Hinton, we to or when it comes to custody of a man, the court system and people figured that she's the mama and that she should be awarded with the children. Well, Marvin Scott said something that was so great. He said that Scott Lamont said they was looking forward to who's the parent, who is best for the parent. Mm-hmm. They know that sometimes that if the daddy is working day in and day out, when is he going to get an opportunity or a chance to raise those children? Mm-hmm. How much time he's going to spend with those children, having 4 boys and things of that nature. So they figured that a woman don't work nowhere. They figured that she don't need to be a provider for the children. And all that a woman needs to do is sit home and do nothing and allow the man to give her, to take care of her, or to spend, and for them to be raised on child support, child support. Child support is good for some folk, but sometimes you figure that it's equal. A woman and a man that made the child would never be here if it wasn't for the man. Mm-hmm. And since the man is involved, men has feelings just as well as anybody else. So they want their child just as well as the woman want their child.
I want to shout out Sheila Robbins and Miles, James Overton. Ann says her child support was $25 a month. And she also says lies. And so Ann and those that are ladies that are on, that have gone through with the courts and through the fathers of their children, can you please kind of put some input? I want to hear your perspective. And guys, if you're going through it and you're on, please give us a perspective, your point of view and how you've experienced. You can just put a word or two, saying that the courts have favored you. You've gone through a smooth custody and support, or you haven't, and you're still dealing with baby mamas and all this stuff. So you all please just kind of respond. Those that are on YouTube, those on other platforms, please kind of respond to our live feed and just tell us a little bit in a short form of some of the things that you've gone through.
Wow. When you started looking at folks and what they're going through with child support, what child support is nothing nice. Wow. Dealing with child support and the parents and separations or divorce, they should be able to come to an agreement. Mm-hmm. It should never be I believe it should never be that a woman should have to take her baby daddy to the court system. And when the court system is not fair to the parents, the parents, it depends on whoever got the most money that can get the child. Nowadays, women are getting put in a situation that men used to be put in. Now, there are men who are in situations that's going to child support. Here's how the court system works. The first person that applies, that's the one that takes that person to court. It doesn't work where all of a sudden we go to court on an even keel. The first person that applied, especially in child support, that's the person that the court system will favor. If I go down as a man and I apply for child support and I got custody of the children, then I am the one that's bringing on the child support. I have been on both sides of the track where I had to deal with me paying child support when there was an agreement already set out. See, sometimes you can make agreement and some men are paying their child support regularly to the woman. And what happens later on down the road is that when a man pays his child support, he don't want to hear, or he wants to be able to go back and see his children. Well, they did not go into the court system, and now it's a battle. The man wants to see his child, and she's using the child as a bullet in a gun. And so now the male is upset. His testosterone is acting crazy. He wants to argue. He wants to fight. Why? Because you're keeping away his children.
Let's say you need to rewind and say that again. Are you saying that women use children as a weapon?
They use those babies as a bullet in a gun. Well, it's the both parents' children. There has been people. Who has children, and the woman needs an increasement of child support because the cost of living don't go up. But she figured that she done peeped around the corner and saw that he was living okay. So now she wants more money for the child. So now she'll take the child, sit him at the door, and his daddy come and knock on the door and say, I want to hold my child.
But Mr. E, I'm thinking about something I heard, and I'm thinking about how things can play out. Our guest Marvin, the founder of Vox Pop, has his story. Sean has his story. You have his story, and women have their story.
Right.
But I wanted to say this about sometimes I'm talking from what I've heard. I don't have the experience of having that type of relationship. But what happens when a woman is with a man and they get together, she becomes pregnant, and the first thing he says out of his mouth once she tells him is, that ain't my baby. It sets off something in her where she has to load that gun because she has been now wounded by him with those words after being and laying with him and laying up with him, and all of a sudden those words come to her. I can think of Eddie Murphy when he was dating a young lady over in England, and the first thing he said was, it ain't mine. So they had to do a DNA.
That's right.
And what I'm saying is, what does a man think that does to a woman when she's been laying with a man and all of a sudden, it ain't mine?
Well, first of all, men, they always looked at the characteristics of a woman. See, when you started looking and examining a woman and to see where she's been,
so
and
he's laying with someone that he don't. Wait a minute now. That you telling me he's looked where she's been, but he's laying with her.
Right.
He figures that she's been with a lot of people, but he's laying with her.
If she has had a lot of people are still dealing with.
What about him?
If she's still dealing with people, if she's still dealing.
That's a made up scenario.
well, if she's still dealing with people, and then all of a sudden he's coming in, and then she said she's pregnant, and she have not let her old boyfriend go.
Then why you?
So now
then
you
why
got
is that man with her?
You got two men in her life that she might be still dealing with her past,
I believe
and she might be still dealing with him.
But why is he with her then?
Because they became friends, but yet still they wasn't married. They was not married. They're boyfriend and girlfriend, and she's still seeing her other boyfriend just as well.
But listen to this.
So now she comes up pregnant.
Listen to this. Judge Judy was on one time, and they had a paternity case, and they had the man getting, they had the DNA and all that kind of stuff because he says it's not mine. And so they did the DNA, and it was not his. But listen to this. Judge Judy told him this. You was laying with her. It could have been yours.
That's right.
So what I'm saying is when a man is laying with a woman, and the first thing he said ain't mine, it may not be yours if she is dealing with somebody else, but it could have been yours because you laying up and you're not using protection, and you are dealing with her regardless of she hoeing or not hoeing or whatever. You still with her.
That's
right. Could be yours.
It could be yours, but the way that you got to really, in this day and time, they got DNA.
Absolutely.
You can go get tested to really
find
out. You see, because back in the days of old, there was no DNAs. That they wait till the child is born, and then they say he don't look like outside of the family. He don't have the facial appearance. Our family has dark ears, and he doesn't have dark ears.
Is that a scapegoat for men to get out of having to parent? Because we're going to look at all sides of this, but I mean in our after show, but while we're in real time, we're going to deal with what's under the hat on man's perspective. You all ladies, whether we want to hear it or not, we're going to hear what men think, what their point of view, what it is. And so later on we can discuss, well, women feel this or women feel that or whatever, but in the meantime, we're going to hear what's under the hat of a man. And what did she say?
She said, I was in school. He worked as a paramedic, but because he had a family, that's what I was awarded. Now, you got to remember, when you look at this scenario here, he already had a family.
Okay.
He already had a family, and him and her connected. Now, she got pregnant by him. So since he already was married, since he already had a family, and he wasn't going to leave his happy family.
She was a little girl.
And she was a little girl, a young lady.
She was a teenager.
So now she's pregnant by him. And so now what the court system has to do is when she took him down to the child support enforcement, when she took him to the court to get benefits, let's put it in another perspective, to get benefits, then it broke the camel's back, because now the family that he has is shattered.
Ann said, she said mine was the first child.
Well, see, but he was already had a family, and he did some outside of their family.
Yes. We want to say good morning to Alfonso Copeland, Roberta Carter. I need you all to respond. Matthew Roman, about child custody and child support, whether you're a lady and kind of agree or disagree with men's point of view, or a man that has gone to whatever experience you all have gone through. We want to hear from you as well.
But here's the thing. We have to really get it out of the court system. And we ought to be able to trust one another. There's a trust factor that must take place between a male and a female, the baby daddy and the baby mama. There must be a trust factor between them two, that he's going to do right by her and she's going to do right by him.
Well, Mr. E, how can that happen when one has one arm and the other one has one arm of the children, and they pulling, and not only are they pulling the children, but they cannot get along for nothing? You need a mediator. You need a middle person.
And
you need, if you cannot resolve those issues, I believe that you need the court. And the thing about it, maybe consciously men and women need to think about how unfair the system is and deal outside of the court. And maybe that would make things better. But hey, if you can't get along,
you got to go to the court system.
That's it.
If you can't trust him to take care of your responsibilities with your child, and you can't trust her to take care of the responsibility or to keep up with one's head. Listen to me. There are so many people out there that goes and get notarized statements that don't mean a hill of beans in the court system.
Yes.
You and her can talk about a whole lot of things, but if she goes down to the court system and said, listen, I want child support. You know, here's what some people, well, you can give her the house,
Yes.
you can give her all the cars, and you can walk away with nothing.
Yeah.
And pay the mortgage that keeps a roof over their head, and they still will use that child support system to get you. Now, I'm not ashamed to tell anybody I had to go through it.
Yeah.
I was paying $2,000 a month.
Okay, that's a lot.
I was paying $2,000 a month. I was paying $2,000 a month, and by me paying $2,000 a month, I didn't know what my children was.
Oh wow!
Didn't see them at football games. Didn't see them at daddies and daughters' dances, because it became a bullet in a gun.
And the courts for you were
one-sided. They all only way that I could have got custody of my child if I had to go down there and apply, because she applied. Then that would cause them to charge me. Listen to me real good. If you got a good job, if you got a career, if you can keep that woman from going down and applying for child support, if you keep her from going down into the system, you got to remember, I lost a career dealing with child support. I lost a career of one's life dealing with this child, this one-sided thing. It is, I believe this. They're going by a book that they have. They're going by there. That's why it costs so many attorneys $500 for consultation fee. It costs you a lot of money to get a judge or get a lawyer, because everybody got to get paid.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Did you hear the numbers?
That's right.
I was appalled. You tell me.
He was paying $600. He said he can pay $600.
I believe.
He said,
but he was paying $600 child support.
He was paying $600 or more for child support. He got it down to $600. Now, he said something that was so key. He said that the court system told him that if he stopped trying to file for custody of his children, that's about it. That's crazy. Them are my children just as well as your children. They are my bloodline just as well as they're your bloodline. So I don't want to be classified. I'm not a deadbeat daddy. I want to continue to help raise my children. We may not be able to raise them in the same house, but I want to be a part of my children's life. That's what he is saying. He said this was so clear. He said he goes upstairs in his children's bedroom and see the toys that the children used to play with. And he broke down.
Absolutely.
Why? Because he missed them babies. A man would do almost anything to see his children.
Mr. E, let's discuss this one thing. I want you to know how you feel about when you hear this deadbeat dad. Don't you know that has gone out into the atmosphere? And you got to be careful, because a man can be doing right by his children,
and still be classified,
can be pushed under that heading of deadbeat. Tell us, you all tell us what you feel about when you hear about deadbeat. Is that something that you use all the time? Deadbeat there are deadbeat dads, but I'm saying that classifying every man that's not with his children, or you don't know the circumstances, is not a deadbeat, but some of them are.
They put a label on a daddy that's not in the home with a child. They put a label on, let me say that again. They put a label on any man that's not in the house raising their child, because he's in the system.
Yes.
When he's in the system, the label that they put on every man that's in the system is a deadbeat daddy. That's if he's in the system. Now, if he ain't in the system, they will not labelize him as a deadbeat daddy. But long as you're in the system and you paying child support, then the label is on you as a dead. That's why so many men, and I believe, Miss Hinton, that's why so many men are standing on the corner, because that hurts them. They got children and then they get a one-sided story that your daddy ain't did this and your daddy ain't did that. Your daddy ain't no good. You gonna be just like your father, a deadbeat dad. So a label has been painted. A man has been painted a bad label. And when they paint a label on him that says he's no good. I got 2 children by my first wife. My son and I, who has my last name, my first name, we cannot today jail together. Now, he's 30-some years old, and it's past. And we should be able to sit down and talk to one another as father and son. But because of the label that has been put upon me, now makes me be what they call a deadbeat dad.
Wow. Mr. E, this topic is something else. We're going to come back to this. In the meantime, let's give some upcoming shows.
I want to say thank y'all so much. And our upcoming shows are like this. On Friday, we got Miss Mann will be our special guest on Friday. And then on Sports Talk on Monday, you got Coach Jones from Norfolk State University. And then we got Box Top will be a part 1, part 2, maybe a part 3. And then we got Mr. Ronnie Joyner will be our special guest also on Sports Talk. And guess what? You too can be a special guest. You too can chime in. You too can be a part. I like what Miss Ann Myers was talking about. She said, my child was the first child.
Oh, wow.
I don't give a good cahootie whether or not your child was first, second, third, or fourth. He had a family.
That don't take away the responsibilities. Once he they have a child together, he's responsible for. He's made the decision.
Right.
He made the decision that the family didn't matter. He was with her, and he had a child with her, and the child becomes the priority now.
That's right. So now what he should do is man up and take care of the child.
Yes.
All he need to do, he might not want to be with the mama, but all he's got to do is man up and take care of the child. Now the child is a responsibility for the man.
Yeah, because he wasn't thinking about the family.
No, he wasn't thinking about the family.
We can't give him no props for being a family man if he won't take care of the family.
And the court system did just right. That's what they call a deadbeat dad. Because now he's already got a family. And now he's got another family over here on this side of the track. Well, what about some of these men's got 30 children, 15 children, 5 children, 6 children. And then you got so many men out here got children by different women. And they know this.
So that's now, Mr. E, do you think that's what makes it bad for men when they go into court? Are they looking at the whole history of a man?
They're looking at all men. All the court system has to do, you got a judge that sits up there all day long, banging his gavel, looking at the percentage of how much money he can get out that person. They know that a man got to live, but who cares? They know that when you go to the court system or you go to a mediator, that's the procedure. You go to a mediator and they'll try to establish how much you can pay in child support. And then the mediator will take it to the judge. Well, the judge will decide whether or not that woman can live on that amount that he said he could pay.
We're going to talk about that because that is something that I want more clarity on. Mr. E, you mentioned earlier $2,000 out of your paycheck.
85%.
85%. I'm curious of how a man lives off of the 15%.
You look at it like that. They don't tell you when the court system hits you. They send to your financial company Wherever you working at, a garnishment that the judge said take 85% of his pay and send it over there to him.
Okay, now what about ladies? Are these ladies that don't work or to be awarded that much money? Are these
They
women
could be
that
ladies
they
that
could
don't work.
or they could work as
They
well?
could work as well, but all they doing is getting that man to pay for that child. It's a shame that we can't come together, but we got you got a product, and the product is John Boy or Sally Mae. That's your product. Now, in order for that product to grow up to be a fine young man, a young woman, then daddy has to pay for that product.
Wow.
It's not where they can come together. They laid together, they talked together, they made it happen. So now what they should be doing is tending to that product together.
Yeah, so Ann said no, she was not with someone that was in a marriage. She said that the mother made decisions for him, dealing with her. And so
when she said something about a family, I received it wrong.
Yeah, well, families, well, she's explaining it now. Yeah, saying, hey,
he wasn't married.
He wasn't,
right.
But I'm saying he still had a family that made decisions for him.
That's
which
right.
Caused suffering for her and her children, child. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Thank you so much, Ann, for your comments, and all you all that are on. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a topic that it could go for 100 years because it's just so much to it and so many things to consider as we talk about it. So I hope you all join us, not only just on our Friday and Monday, but Wednesday again when we come back with the Vox Pop organization and Marvin and Sean. They're going to get down a little deeper about what's going on and how their experience Marvin's experience triggered this organization. Now, I'm in agreement. I really believe that men should have advocates. I believe that they should have organizations. I believe because sometimes it's not fair. Now, let's just tell it like it is. Now, I know women suffer, and I've seen them suffer, and I know children suffer, and I've seen them suffer. But I know that it's also on the other side where men suffer too.
That's right. When you take away a man's driver's license, how he gonna go to work?
Well, that's it. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk. He's talking about being thrown in jail, and it's kind of spooky.
And then before we go, Ms. Hinton, I want to throw this in here also that when it comes to child support, whoever, it's a crime shame. It has to be a race. RACE. Whoever gets to the child enforcement first.
Oh my!
That's when the court system will protect that person.
Yes, well, we want to congratulate those that are doing it without the courts, and doing it well. We want to congratulate those that have gone to the courts and they have resolved issues. We congratulate those that have gotten in their hearts and minds that co-parenting goes beyond their problems and troubles that they have in their relationship. So many scenarios. We'll be talking about that on next Wednesday with our special guests, Marvin Scott and Sean Lamont of the organization Vox Pop. Also, don't forget our upcoming shows, and Mr. E is going to tell us how you can be a special guest sponsor or intern with our show. Also, don't forget the Ladies Pies, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Please make sure you put your order in, and I'll be sending out order forms if you all want them. You can order through email, and just let me know if you're interested in that form. Also, my book, Mr. E, is finished. It's getting ready to be approved, and it's going to go online through distribution, and also we'll have the hard copy. Now, I'm going to launch in October, but you're going to still be able to get your orders in and order your book and download them for your children. Bullying is right underneath your nose, and that book is ready and getting ready to be available. So excited and proud. And it's a series, actually. And we're going to be doing a lot of great things with that and a lot of initiatives when it comes to bullying for the community. So you all watch out for that. Also, don't forget the music, the ladies' music, Where I Am Now, that you hear. Our theme song is online along with the library of songs that I have. Please go out and get it. Follow us on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. We need you all to subscribe and like, please, 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 please. Also, Mr. E and I host Mr. E, tell them that we host. So Mr. E is going to give you the information on how you can get in touch with us and how you can be an intern guest or a sponsor. We need sponsors as well because we want to expand this to an hour. You see, we need more time. Instead of doing it in a whole bunch of parts, we could do it in one or two shows with your help. Please, we'll have the Cash App up there, and you all can get the, to help us sponsor this show. Mr. E, give the information needed.
I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show. If you need to be a sponsor, if you want to be a sponsor or intern or FYI, or if you want to be a special guest or know someone that needs to be on FYI, give us a call at 757-714-7861. Again, thank you so much for joining us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on WGPL 1350 and WPCE 1400, and soon to be Peace and Joy on FM.
Ms. E, can you say that again? I don't want that to go over anybody's head, but what did you just say? That
and
last
soon to be Peace and Joy. Peace 95.3 and Joy 88.9.
You all get ready. I'm telling you, soon. It ain't soon like in the future.
Soon.
It's soon in a few days. You'll be able to enjoy us on FM radio along with these formats.
Joy.
And we're very excited about that. We'll still be on WGPL AM and WPCE AM, but you'll get the other stations, the FM, and all the new tags and everything. So we are blessed and happy to be here. You all are a blessing. Thank you all for tuning in. Those that are on those other platforms, the YouTube, hello. I don't see you right now, but I want to say hello to you all. Twitter, hi. LinkedIn, hello. Facebook, you all are definitely one of our favorites as well. And we thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here on Fun Friday. You have a blessed and wonderful day. If you're in Hampton Roads, enjoy this weather, honey. It's going to be all that. See you later. God bless you.
2 up, 2 down. 2 up, 2 down. Bye now.